great description of the ins and outs of Power Virtual Agents, I must note that it is important to let users know they are talking to a bot. Research shows this gets the best results and doesn't surprise or annoy the user if they find out it isn't a real person halfway through the communication. So let's begin with a real business problem, one that every business deals with and will have some sort of process for, and that is a leave request system. From what I have seen, businesses will have a paper form that is printed, filled out by the employee, submitted back to admin or HR, and manually typed into a system. Now, if you could see my handwriting, you don't want to be the admin person trying to type it into the system. This setup is a very manual process, which is full of potential mistakes and is very labor intensive. So what's the solution? The solution is automation. And the great thing is, you already have the tools to implement the solution with the Power Platform. The Power Platform enables companies to change from the painful, mistake-driven manual processes to quick, accurate, automated processes that is repeatable every time. So why Power Virtual Agents? Microsoft Forms and Microsoft Power Apps does a good job at obtaining data from the user, but it does so in a linear way. For example, a form will ask for a medical certificate for all leave types, where a bot will only ask for the medical certificate when sick leave is chosen. A form which lists a bunch of questions which you then expect an answer for each question. If you have another topic of questions, well, you need another form, and then the number of forms can easily get out of hand. Unlike a form, one virtual agent can have several topics, meaning the user only needs to go to one place for all of their requests. Power Virtual Agents has intelligence. Instead of multiple forms with multiple questions, the agent has intelligence to determine what questions should be asked, when to ask the questions, and how to trigger an action when the data is received. How does it work? The automation of the bots works like a flowchart. It only asks questions that are required and makes decisions dependent upon the inputs received. Who remembers from school the Choose Your Own Adventure series? You'd read a chapter, be asked some questions, and then go to a specific page dependent upon your answers. Power Virtual Agents is pretty much the same concept. It begins with asking the bot a question. Let's go through the bot steps to create a leave request. To start the bot, the user asks a question. The question is then analysed against keywords. A topic is chosen and a conversation begins. In my example, I'm looking for phrases to start the leave request, such as, I need some sick leave. From the user's questions, the bot selects a topic and confirms with the user the topic selection. Now the user is asked some general questions like name and email. And then the user is prompted for the type of leave required. To bring in some personalization, a message with sentiment is displayed. Now the user is asked for specific leave information. And lastly, the bot confirms the information with the user. Let's now look at the flow in its entirety, showing the interaction between the user and the bot. You can clearly see the conversation between the bot and the user. Now let me show you a demo of how this bot flows and interacts in Power Virtual Agents itself. So I'm now in Power Virtual Agents, and you can see my test bot with my leave requests topic. The trigger phrases leave without pay, paid time off, PTO, personal leave, sick leave, time off, sick. They don't have to be exact. But as I did in the demonstration, I'm going to type in, I need some sick leave. And you will see it's not exactly what the trigger phrases are, but the bot's smart enough to pick up with some keywords in it what it wants, what it's looking for. So as a quick think, and you'll see over here in green, the flow of the bot running through. It's now asking, can I help with a leave request? And I go, sure can. Now it wants to gather general information. So this is determined before the type of leave request type because it's applicable to all types. So let's plug in my name and now my email address. As you can see, after I answer each question, the bot's flowing, and in dark green, you can see exactly the flow of the process. Now the bot's is asking for the start of my leave, so I'll put in the date. It's also smart enough to understand information such as next Friday. It'll automatically work out what that date is. Now it wants to know the reason for my sick leave. And if I have a medical certificate. Now I'm also using Power Automate to go off and format the data for me. So this presentation, this display presentation at the end there is in a nice format that I did in Power Automate. I can also use Power Automate to calculate different values and fields if required. Now, did I answer your question? Yes, you did. And now it goes off and it asks for a rating. Now, this wasn't in my topic. It was in one of the default topics that Yeoman talked about earlier. Now, I'm just going to run through the bot one more time. Some sick leave. But this time, I'm not paying attention. So when it says it wants my name, I'm going to put in my email address. What will happen? The bot knows what information it needs at the start before it runs. So I've put in my email address, and the bot's smart enough to determine, sorry, that wasn't your name. Please enter in your name. So I'll put my name in. But you will notice now that the bot will skip the email question because it was smart enough to know that it got it earlier. There's my name. It jumps straight over the question for the email address and is prompting me for the dates of my leave. Day. I'll go next Friday to return. Reason for my sick leave is my migraine. And do you have a medical certificate? Yes, I do. To answer your question, yes, it did. And I'll give it 5 stars. Now, one thing I just also like to notice that you'll notice here, it didn't ask me for the type of leave that I wanted to use. And that was because at the very start, I said I wanted sick leave. And once again, it was smart enough to know that it was sick leave and it ran down the sick leave condition and not the personal, annual and compassionate leave. It never even asked me that question because it already had received that information. Well, that's the end of my demonstration. And I'd like to now hand over to Bill.